Hi, I'm Robert Osborne. The next movie in our celebration of the European films of the late 50s and early 60s is one of the indispensable films of the French New Wave movement. It's also the one movie that I think best illustrates the swagger and insolence that the New Wave movement embodied. The movie is Breathless, directed in France by Jean-Luc Godard in 1960, and starring Jean-Paul Belmondo and Jean Seberg, with a story by Francois Truffaut, which is a bit misleading, I have to say. He didn't write the screenplay because there never was an actual script written for the film. What happened is that in the late 50s, Jean-Luc Godard found himself the last remaining member of the suddenly famous group of New Wave film critics who had not made a film himself. Francois Truffaut's The 400 Blows, which we'll be showing later tonight, by the way, that had come out and caused a sensation. Claude Chabrol's Les Bleus Serges was equally as provocative, as were others. And it's not that Godard hadn't been looking for something to direct. He'd been searching for an idea to intrigue and stimulate him into action when finally along came a young producer who was an admirer of Godard's writing as a critic, and he offered to finance any film Godard wanted to direct. The Money Man had only one condition: the storyline had to make sense. Well, spurred into action, Godard remembered a story he and Truffaut had co-written a few years earlier, based on a newspaper item about a motorcyclist who shot a policeman. Well, he wrote to Truffaut and said, in essence, if you can find that story treatment we wrote, I can whip up the dialogue. And that's how this movie, Breathless, came to be. In making it true to the New Wave dictates, Godard threw out all the old ways of making a movie, instead using throughout handheld cameras, wild camera angles, and unorthodox jump cuts. And the finished film caused a sensation. Also made an international star out of its leading man, Jean-Paul Belmondo. Moviegoers hadn't seen an actor so natural or uncompromising since Marlon Brando made his first film a decade earlier. Now, Belmondo, for the record, was a special guest at our very first TCM Classic Film Festival in Hollywood in 2010, where we showed Breathless. And he told me in an interview before the film that he and Jean Seberg thought the movie was so awful when they were making it that it would never be released. One reason they were so natural and saucy in the film: they didn't think anybody would ever see it. How little they know. Here's the film, a sensation when it came out in 1960, and no less fascinating today. Here's Breathless.